I have never wanted to do something so badly, and yet known so clearly that I must not. I was standing on a pristine white sand beach. The sun was setting, painting the sky in bruises of purple and orange. But I wasn't looking at the sky. I was looking at the ground. At my feet, the sand was moving. A tiny black nose, no bigger than a pebble, poked through the surface. Then it vanished. Then it appeared again, gasping for air. It was a baby sea turtle, buried alive. It looked painful. It looked cruel. The weight of the sand was crushing it. Every time it tried to push up, the dry sand would collapse back down, burying its face. It was choking on the very earth it was born in. My hands were twitching. My instincts, my human instincts of empathy and protection, were screaming at me. Just kneel down. Just scoop the sand away. Just pull him out. It would take 2 seconds. You can save him. But I kept my hands behind my back. I clenched my fists until my knuckles turned white. I forced myself to stand like a statue and watch this torture continue. Why? Am I heartless? Am I cruel? No. I didn't help him because I love him. I didn't help him because if I had cleared that sand away, I would have killed him. This is the brutal paradox of nature. The struggle isn't an obstacle to the life. The struggle is the life. What you can't see from the surface is that this little guy isn't alone. Beneath that small patch of shifting sand lies a chamber of secrets. About 50 centimeters down, there are 100 of his brothers and sisters. They have been in that dark, egg-shaped womb for 60 days. But now the air is running out. They are engaged in a desperate cooperative effort called social facilitation. It's a biological marvel. The turtles at the top scratch down the ceiling. The turtles at the sides pack the falling sand into the walls. And the turtles at the bottom stomp on the falling sand to create a floor. They are building a living elevator, rising centimeter by centimeter on a staircase made of their own discarded nursery. If I dig them out, I break that elevator. I destroy the team, and more importantly, I rob them of their gym. You see, that desperate thrashing against the heavy sand is doing something vital. It is forcing their lungs to snap open. It is pumping fluid out of their joints. It is firing up their metabolism. It's a boot camp. They are waking up their muscles, preparing them for a marathon that will last for days. If I lift a turtle out and place him gently on the beach, he will be weak. His lungs won't be fully inflated. His flippers will be soft. He will crawl 10 feet, collapse, and be eaten by a crab before he even smells the water. So I waited. I waited until the sun dipped below the horizon. The temperature dropped. The cooling sand is the signal. Suddenly, the ground erupted. It looked like a pot of water boiling over. Dozens, then scores of tiny black shapes spilled onto the beach. It was a waterfall of life. The silence of the beach was broken by the soft, frantic pattering of hundreds of flippers against the sand. And then, the chaos began.
This is the gauntlet, the death run. From the nest to the ocean is only about 30 meters, but for a creature the size of a matchbox, it is a desert crossing, and they are not alone. I watched my turtle, the one I had seen struggling earlier. He tumbled out of the nest and immediately faced the wrong way. He was disoriented. He corrected himself, turning toward the brightest horizon, which is usually the reflection of the moon on the ocean. But shadows were moving on the beach, ghost crabs. These crabs are fast, pale, and merciless. I saw one skitter sideways, intercepting the path of a straggler. I looked away. I couldn't watch that. I focused back on my turtle. He was scrambling over footprints left by tourists earlier that day. To him, a human heel print is a canyon. He fell in. He flipped onto his back. This was the moment that broke my heart. He lay there, his white underbelly exposed to the moonlight, his little flippers waving helplessly in the air. He was tired. He paused. He stopped moving. Again, the urge to help washed over me. Just flip him over. Just one little touch. But I knew the science. That struggle to right himself, that violent twisting of his core muscles, that is exactly what he needs to learn how to dive. If he can't flip himself over on the sand, he won't be able to dive under the waves to escape the sharks. He lay there for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Then a surge of energy. He rocked, he twisted, and flop, he was back on his feet. He didn't celebrate, he just kept moving. He was driven by an ancient magnetic compass in his brain that I can barely comprehend. He ignored the wind, he ignored the noise, he ignored the shadows of seagulls circling above. He had a date with the ocean, and he was not going to be late. Then the sand changed. It went from dry and fluffy to wet and hard. He had reached the tide line. The cell of salt was overpowering Mao. The roar of the surf was deafening. A wave crashed in. It was a small wave to me, but a tsunami to him. The white foam rushed up the beach, hissing like a snake. It hit him. It didn't welcome him gently. It tumbled him. He was tossed backward, rolling over and over in the foam, getting dragged back up the beach. He shook it off. He waited for the water to recede, and then he paddled harder. The next wave came. This time, he didn't let it push him back. He lowered his head. He drove into it. The water picked him up, and for the first time in his life, he wasn't crawling. He was floating. I lost sight of him in the darkness and the foam. I stood there, straining my eyes, hoping to see a little head pop up for air. And there he was, just a silhouette against the shimmering water. He was past the break. The transformation was instant. The clumsy, stumbling creature that tripped over footprints was gone. In the water, he was a master. His heavy shell became weightless. His awkward flippers became wings. He was flying through the liquid darkness. He began the frenzy swim. For the next 24 to 48 hours, he will swim non-stop, without sleeping, without eating. He needs to get as far away from the coast as possible, out to the deep blue open ocean where the predators are fewer. He will spend the next years of his life drifting on mats of sargassum weed, alone in the middle of the Pacific. We call these the lost years because he vanishes from our sight. We won't see him again for decades. If he survives, and the odds are 1 in 1,000, he will return to this exact beach 30 years from now to start the cycle again. I stood on the beach until the moon was high in the sky. The nest was empty. The crabs had retreated. The beach was quiet again. I walked away with empty hands, but a full heart. I realized that the greatest act of love I could offer that turtle was my inaction. It taught me a lesson that is hard to swallow, especially for us humans. We want to save everyone. We want to save our children from failure. We want to save our friends from heartbreak. We want to save ourselves from pain. We try to clear the sand away. We try to carry people to the water. But we forget that the sand is the teacher. The gravity is the trainer. The struggle is the architect of survival. If I had carried him to the water, he would have been just a visitor in the ocean, weak and unprepared. By letting him fight his own way there, he arrived as a warrior. So the next time you see someone you love struggling, or the next time you find yourself buried under the weight of your own life, remember the turtle. Don't ask for the sand to be removed. Don't ask for an easy path to the water. Trust the struggle. Fight the gravity. Flip yourself over. Because the ocean is waiting, and you need to be strong enough to swim in it.